All right, let's dive into one of the most, truly practical and direct books in the entire New Testament, the book of James. And look, we're not talking about abstract head into clouds theology here. This is a gritty, real-world blueprint for a faith that actually, works.
James doesn't waste a single second. He just gets right to the heart of it. He poses this question that just slices through all the noise, all the hypocrisy, all the empty religious talk. He basically wants to know, okay, what happens when the rubber of what you say you believe meets the road of your actual everyday life?
And this right here, this illustrates the core problem James is tackling. It's this huge gap between saying you have faith and actually showing it. On one hand, you've got what he calls dead faith. And what does that look like? Well, it's all talk, it's playing favorites, it's a belief that never ever translates into action. But on the other side, that's living faith. And that's all about genuine action, real humility, and consistent obedience. Two totally different things.
So, you might be wondering, who's this guy with such a bold, direct message? Well, this isn't just some random person. This is James, the half-brother of Jesus. Think about that. He actually went from being a skeptic to becoming a central leader, a pillar of the church in Jerusalem after he saw the resurrected Christ. They even nicknamed him James the Just because of his integrity. He's not writing like a philosopher, he's writing like a pastor, a firm, loving pastor who just wants his people to live out a real, authentic faith.
Okay, so James lays out this blueprint, right? And the very first part deals with something every single one of us has to face: pressure, trials, hardship. So, how does a living, breathing faith respond when things get tough?
And the way he starts, it's just wild. He hits us with this completely counterintuitive command. He says, "Count it all joy when you face trials." Seriously? Who says that? Joy. When things are falling apart? It sounds impossible, but trust me, James has a really good reason for this.
See, for James, there's this deep purpose hidden inside the pain. He doesn't see trials as just random, meaningless punishments. No, he sees them as part of a divine process. It's like a chain reaction. First, the trial tests your faith. It shows you what it's really made of. Then, that testing produces perseverance. That grit, that endurance. And it's that perseverance that ultimately makes you mature, that shapes you into who you're meant to be.
So here's the crucial takeaway from this first part. Enduring pressure isn't supposed to be a passive thing. It's meant to lead to action. That's why James tells believers to be doers of the word and not hearers only. It's so important. A true living faith is proven by what you do, especially when you're under pressure, not just by what you listen to on a Sunday or say you believe. All right, that brings us to the second part of the blueprint, and this is where we get to what is probably the most famous, most talked about theme in the whole book: this unbreakable connection between what you believe in your heart and what you do with your hands.
And here it is, the line that James is famous for, the one that's been debated for centuries. Faith without works is dead. Wow, it's so blunt, it's so powerful, and it is the absolute core of everything he's trying to say. For James, if your faith doesn't lead to a changed life, then it's not real faith, period.
Okay, now this is where things can get a little confusing, right? Because some people think James is contradicting the Apostle Paul, who talks all about salvation by faith alone. But they're not contradicting each other at all. They're actually like two sides of the same coin. Think of it like this. Paul is arguing against the idea that you can earn your way to God through good works. James, on the other hand, is arguing against the idea that you can have a real, saving faith that produces no good works. So the works themselves don't save you, but they're the proof, the evidence that you have been saved.
Now, a huge part of this faith in action idea for James comes down to something we all struggle with: our words. And he uses three absolutely brilliant pictures to describe the power of our tongue. The first one? It's like the bit in a horse's mouth. Just this tiny piece of metal can control a huge, powerful animal.
His second image is a ship's rudder. Again, it's a pretty small part compared to the whole ship, right? But that little rudder steers the entire massive vessel. It can literally change the direction of your whole life. And his third metaphor, well, this one's the most sobering. He says the tongue is like a single spark. It's tiny, but it can set an entire forest on fire. It's a terrifying picture of just how much destruction one careless word can cause. So where do these words even come from? Well, James says they flow from one of two places, one of two kinds of wisdom. You've got earthly wisdom, and that's all about being selfish, prideful, and causing drama and division. And then you have wisdom that comes from God. And what does that look like? It's pure, it's peace-loving, it's merciful, it's sincere. Our words really are just a window showing which kind of wisdom we're drawing from. And all of this leads us perfectly into the third and final part of James's blueprint. This is all about our internal posture, our heart attitude. You could say it's the foundation that everything else we've talked about is built on.
And what's at the core of that posture? Humility. James doesn't mince words here at all. He puts it in the clearest, starkest terms. God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. I mean, there's no middle ground there, is there? Pride literally puts you in opposition to God. Humility, on the other hand, is the very thing that opens the door for His grace and help to flow into your life.
And to really hammer this point home, he uses another incredible metaphor. He says your life, it's like a mist. You know, it's here for just a little while, and then poof, it's gone. What a powerful way to cut through all of our arrogant, self-sufficient plans, right? It's a huge reminder that at the end of the day, we are not the ones in control.
So if you had to name the #1 enemy of this humble living faith James is talking about, what would it be? It all boils down to one thing: pride. I mean, just think about it. Pride is the root of showing favoritism. It's the fuel for selfish ambition and conflict. It's the arrogance behind all those destructive words. It is the ultimate roadblock to a faith that actually works.
Okay, so let's tie all of this together. We've walked through James's whole blueprint. Faith that holds up under pressure, faith that shows up in action, and a faith that's rooted in humility. So what's the big picture? What does this real, living faith actually look like when you're just living your life?
Well, it looks something like this. It's a faith that doesn't just survive hard times, it endures them because it knows they're making you stronger, more mature. It's a faith that doesn't just listen to God's word, it actually goes out and does it. It's a faith that loves people, all people, without playing favorites. It speaks with wisdom. It walks with humility. And, as James makes sure to tell us at the end, it's a faith that is powerful and active in prayer.
And so, in the end, James leaves every single one of us with this ultimate challenge. It's a question that has echoed down through the centuries, and it lands right here with you and me today. And listen, this isn't about being perfect. It's about being authentic. The question is simple, but it is so, so profound. Does my life actually reflect what I say I believe?
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. It really helps us.